In this video, we're going to talk about cops getting absolutely humiliated by educated citizens. Let's dive right in. Things in this video are heated right from the get-go. The cop immediately threatens someone that he's going to pull them to the ground face first. And then we realize that that someone is basically a kid who threatens to file a complaint against the cop.
Come past me, you're gonna go on the ground face first. Do you understand me?
Okay, and then I'm gonna file a complaint against you.
Go get your camera.
Go grab your camera, yes. I'm allowing you to do that, but you cannot walk in my house. I have 3 cops
The
on me.
15-year-old kid then calls the cop out by saying that they have no right to come inside his house. They just ignore him and go inside anyway and ask him if he was driving around on his motorcycle. He confirms, but tells them that it's actually a gas bicycle. The cops try to impose their own laws by saying that he needs to have a license for that. But this kid is not to be messed with. He knows his rights and tells him that he doesn't have to have a license if it's a 50cc and he has a permit for it. The cops are left speechless as a result, and they just go away. In the end, the kid explained everything to a supervisor. Hey, the kids are all right. This man was just standing in a police parking lot when a detective approached him and asked him what he was doing. The man asked him for his name and badge number, which the detective provided.
Okay, well, this is like a police private lot. Like,
Oh, it's private? Where does it say that?
this is the police lot.
Where does it say it's
the
private?
police lot. I'm just asking what you're doing.
I'm just asking, where does it say it's private?
The man then asked him to show him where it says that it's private. The detective pointed to the sign that says police vehicle parking only, but when the man asked him about a trespassing sign, he couldn't find it. The detective got pretty confused, so the man didn't want to bother him and went on to ask another cop who was standing right there for his name and badge number, and the cop just gave him the silent treatment. The man called him out in the end and told him to act as a professional. Here we can hear a cop pulling the good old, we can do it the hard way or we can do it the easy way. Basically, he wants the guy to identify himself for no reason at all other than lingering in one
You can
place.
do it the easy way. Unfortunately, it is suspicious that you're just lingering here.
Suspicion isn't a crime, my friend. I already told you
No.
I'm a guest of somebody.
But if I have suspicion there is criminal activity,
What criminal
I can
activity?
investigate it.
Okay.
Also,
The guy explains that he's someone's guest, but the cop keeps asking him to identify himself. When the guy asks the cop what crime he committed, the cop says that he's acting suspicious. The guy then reminds him that suspicion isn't a crime. The cop argues with that, but the guy tells him that he has to have a reasonable suspicion. The cop threatens him to arrest him for not identifying himself, even though he doesn't have to because he didn't commit any crime.
You know what that is? You're gonna illegally detain me.
Okay.
There's no crime. You haven't articulated
I'm a
anything.
law enforcement officer
It
in the
doesn't
state of
matter,
Arizona.
dude. I'm a citizen. You work for me. You're gonna be on fucking
I
YouTube
work for
later.
the city of Cotton. Unfortunately.
Here's a cop explaining to a group of teens that they can't ride a bike on that boardwalk. But then one of the guys asks him, when did the law change?
Law change?
What's that?
Is there a law change?
Yeah, you can't ride your bikes on the boardwalk.
When did that law change?
It's been a law for quite a while.
16.16.
The cop is confused by this. He certainly didn't expect that he was going to face resistance from an educated teenager. The guy actually tells him the exact law that confirms that he can ride a bike there.
Okay, you want to go that way? We can go that way.
If you want to pull out your civic code and you want to look up the code, 16.16.502 states that you can ride your bicycle out here. So if you want to come out here, you want to
The cop doesn't know what to do anymore, so he mocks the guy, asking him if he got his law degree on Facebook. The guy is still being pretty calm and collected and says that he doesn't have to have a law degree to know his rights. That's right. Then he goes on to educate this ignorant cop some more.
When you tell someone to not ride their bike when they're legally able to ride their bike, yes, that is harassment. Your opinion is irrelevant. The law states you can ride their
In the end, the cop doesn't even know what to say here, so he just wishes the guy a good day. He identifies himself upon request and then just does the walk of shame. Satisfying. So this guy was citing the laws from the start, basically saying that cops violating civil rights is a federal crime. A female cop then asked if the kids were all right.
241 that states a police officer under the color of law who violates somebody's civil rights is a federal crime. Okay, so right now I'm in this constitutional conversation at this very moment. Okay.
Well, I'm trying to make
He confirmed they are and said that he's not obligated to answer their questions or take part in their investigation if he's not under arrest.
obligation to cooperate with you in your investigation whatsoever. Okay? So I'm very forever with my rights. I want to end up listening to people for a reason. I want to end this conversation right now, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure the kids are okay.
The man just gave them the silent treatment, refusing to answer every single one of their questions. At one point, he wanted to get inside of his car, but another female cop didn't allow him, so he asked her once again if he was under arrest. When he started citing laws again, the lady officer backed up, and the man was free to go. Know your rights. Next up, we have this citizen educating these two female cops left and right. First, he told them that they have to have a reasonable suspicion for him to provide his ID.
Like, I'm standing up for my rights. So my right, my Fourth Amendment right, says that you cannot seize my identity unless I have been I'm suspected of committing a crime. You have yet to articulate with...
He kept asking them what crime he committed, but they weren't able to articulate that. They just explained that they got a call about him approaching multiple houses in the neighborhood, but he educated them some more by telling them once again that they have to suspect him of committing a crime in order to ask for his ID. He asked them to give him a statute that tells him that they're suspecting him of committing a crime. They of course couldn't do that. After they came onto the property, talked to the guy in the background, and then just went away, realizing that they were completely humiliated by this educated citizen. So this guy was conducting a First Amendment audit near San Bernardino prison, and sure enough, a sheriff approached him and protested against him taking photos and videos of people going into the facility.
Just taking the video. The jail?
For what purpose?
My purpose.
For your purpose?
The guy made it clear from the start that he knew exactly that he wasn't doing anything illegal, so he asked the sheriff to state the exact penal code. He explained to him that under the Penal Code 148G, he's allowed to film any public entity and that photography alone, when done in a legal spot, can't be deemed suspicious.
I'm supposed to ID after I'm legally booked. That's the law in California. So
you can ask me for my credentials.
Well, you work for me, sir.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, let me see your ID where you live.
Why do you need to
Why
see
would
that?
you need to see my ID then?
I don't need to see where you live. I'm just asking who you are.
I'm a citizen, taxpaying citizen who employs you, sir.
After giving him some free lessons in law, the guy told the sheriff to call his supervisor, which he refused. Instead of calling a supervisor, he asked the man to identify himself, which the man obviously refused since he didn't commit any crime. Then another cop showed up and started asking questions. The guy explained everything very clearly to him as well. In the end, the other cop told the first one that he knows the guy and that he's the one who sits in front of their headquarters all the time. After realizing who he was, they just left him alone. Next up, we have the same guy, clearly an experienced First Amendment auditor, doing community watch in Las Vegas in front of the FBI headquarters.
Doing First Amendment audit here at the FBI building, Federal Bureau of Investigations, 1787 Lake Mead or Stella Lake Drive.
After a while, a woman who is clearly an FBI agent can be seen noticing the guy and talking on the phone while driving. The man recorded her license plates just in case he had any encounters, and sure enough, she eventually did get out of the car, approached the guy, and asked him what he was doing. What she didn't count on was getting schooled by this guy who taught her a thing or two about the Constitution and First Amendment rights. Realizing that she was getting totally owned by this guy, she returned to her car, probably regretting ever bothering this Constitution expert in the first place.